You have been a very good partner. And I believe this partnership should continue to work stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It is needed even more. We need it quite more importantly when you look at the circumstances we found ourselves now. In a situation whereby you operate on a system where misinformation, mischief, a lot of other things take the lead simply because people are not aware. People are not informed, or they are rather misinformed all the time about the existence and the role of the institution of the legislature. In the case of Nigeria, Nigeria's National Assembly, we are most hated. The institution is most hated, is most misperceived, is the one that received the most the highest form of misinformation. And in cases like this, like I've always said, we cannot speak for ourselves. We can, of course, try to speak for ourselves, but we will be better understood, we will be better heard when people like you in the civil society sector will help us educate Nigerians to let them understand what actually is the Nigerian National Assembly doing. So many things. The first thing that comes to mind is, how much do they earn? Salaries, emoluments, allowances. I don't know when will you help us educate Nigerians to know clearly that what we are doing here is for the benefit and the overall interest of Nigerian people. I don't know when you will have time to help us educate Nigerians know that what we spend here in terms of our emolument or salaries compared to other arms and agencies of government is like a peanut. Take it from me on record that of over 12 to 13 trillion naira budget we have today in the 2021 budget, Nigeria's National Assembly will have less than 1%. 1% of the total budget coming to the National Assembly. Nobody knows that. The headlines all over, social media, conventional media, is a kind of comparison that, the Ministry of Education is being given or is accorded 4.6 billion naira in the 2021 budget. Ministry of Health, 3-point-something billion naira. Cutting only those components of the budget of such ministries as it affects the ministries alone. And they will now tell Nigerians, National Assembly, 128 billion naira. Those of you in civil society, including those of you in the media, we will expect you to help this institution educate Nigerians to know that when they come across a budget of the Ministry of Education put at 4 or 5 billion naira, that does not cover TET fund. It doesn't cover UBEC. It doesn't cover federal colleges of education. I want to put it to you that today, what is contained in the 2021 budget for the Ministry of Education holistically is over and above 1 trillion naira. 1 trillion naira. So some of those components you see are only reflecting the ministerial head cost or capital of a particular agency. TET funds, UBEC, and all those agencies under Federal Ministry of Education have their respective provisions in the budget. If you go to Ministry of Health, for instance, you may have a budget subhead for the Ministry of Education alone, but every other agency under the Federal Ministry of Health has its own subhead, capital and recurrent. This must be reflected. In the 2021 budget alone, I put it to you that Defense, Ministry of Defense alone, Ministry of Defense, when you say Ministry of Defense, that may not necessarily cover every other thing in defense. It takes the highest defense, takes the highest component of the 2021 budget. So as long as you want to partner with us, and as long as you want to make sure that this system works, you must also be seen to be doing your work. Some of these expectations of Nigerian youth. Most of the issues that are being raised, for instance, are issues that are directly embedded in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Section 215, for instance, of 5, is a constitutional provision. And it's one of the major problems that we have in the Nigerian police reform. That you cannot do overnight. Definitely you need to give the legislature and the government to go through the due process and look at some of our legal frameworks some of our legislations that are quite defective, some of our legislations that are obnoxious. This is democracy, and democracy is a living thing, it's surviving. As we grow, we also continue to supervise and look at some of those areas where we have gray areas, where we have some lack of concern for human rights, where some of our agencies, security agencies, are either protected by the Constitution. I believe even the drafters of the Constitution never meant what is happening now. Even in those days, when the so-called SARS that is now scrapped was formed, I want to believe that those who wanted to establish SARS did not mean what SARS went ahead doing. So I want to use this opportunity to, on behalf of the leadership of the National Assembly, to urge our youth right there, out there on the street, to know that time has come that they have to give the government a chance. Look at some of these things. Those of them that are in the long run, we look at them on long run basis. Those of them that we can take during short run, we look at them at short run scale. And I believe government will be responsive. No one of us is here on his own. Each and every one of us is here on behalf of his people. And I believe what is going out there, no one of us will appreciate what is happening. So I think it is the right time now for us to appeal and talk to ourselves that let us give peace a chance, and I believe government will respond very positively, especially those areas that are very critical. Where we need to work on the Constitution, we will work on the Constitution. Where we need to take immediate action, we must take immediate action. And we as an institution here, as a legislature, we will continue the engagements. We will continue the consultations with the executive arm of government. And where we need to give specific directives to security agencies to do exactly what they're expected to do as security agencies, our own authority here in the National Assembly, through the President of the Senate and through the Speaker of the House of Representatives, I believe will always do that in the interest, overall interest of our people. Executive Director CISLAC, I think these are some of the areas that you really need to look forward in the discharge of your social and civic responsibility as members of the civil society organization. All other things you have mentioned, we have
speculation are going on, allegations are going on that jobs are being sold for people who can pay large amount of money in different ministries and parastatals. We urge you to investigate this allegation that is going on. Again, we also want to commend the House of Representatives for its stand with education and ASU, because Nigeria cannot afford to be left in terms of education. A lot of Nigerians are committed and believe that if we have a sound educational system, we will be able to reduce poverty, because people would have been able to come out from school with quality certificates and results and be able to get a job.